Hello, hello, JJ DiGeronimo here, and I am here with another amazing light worker and practitioner. I love these conversations because I'm just as inquisitive as you are, and I'm always learning and seeking to find new ways to really tune myself to the frequency that allows me to have an amazing experience as a human here on the planet Earth. And so I'm really excited to introduce our guest today. She has an awesome topic, quantum medicine. Quantum medicine. And you can see why that definitely captured my attention. So, Lynnette Dillen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful for this space that you're creating because it really encourages people to explore alternative approaches to health. I really feel like we're in this time when the healthcare system is evolving and science is finally kind of catching up with what ancient wisdom knew. So it's really powerful to be part of this platform and conversations like this, and I'm just honored to contribute. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so honored. And we are corporate girls. So we both have been in corporate for decades. So I was loving to hear that because Lynette took like almost like a hard right turn. And so did I in a lot of ways. Mine was a little probably softer, but we were both pulled into something that was really calling us. So can you tell us a little bit about what is quantum medicine?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to take a few minutes to really dig into this. It is such an exciting new emerging kind of field, and it blends quantum physics, energy medicine, and holistic health together. I think traditional medicine really focuses on kind of that biochemical body parts process, where quantum medicine sees your body as this intelligent energy system. And so you have the electricity that flows through your body, your consciousness, frequency, and all these electromagnetic fields that really play a role in our well being. In my practice, one of the core modalities that I use is frequency medicine. And frequency medicine, simply at its foundation, is just this understanding that every cell in your body vibrates, and it vibrates at a specific frequency. So when that frequency becomes fast, it's showing inflammation. When that frequency is slow, it's telling us that there's stagnation. Both of these states disrupt our body's natural harmony and our body's ability to heal. And it's really important to recognize too that traditional medicine even acknowledges that body is electric in nature, right? We do EEGs for the brain waves, and we do EKGs for our heart. Defibrillators, right? Restarts the heart. So what energy medicine does and quantum medicine is just expand that concept by viewing kind of each cell, it's its own vibrational system.
I love that. And you're speaking my language with frequency. And so you've gone into this field of quantum medicine, and now you're helping people understand the frequencies in their body, especially when they might be having things that they haven't been able to solve. So how do they find you, and how do you even approach somebody that comes into your sphere?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now I'm working on two things. I'm doing lots of R&D. I really, really am working hard at, because I came out of pharma and came out of industry, I'm working hard at creating protocols, but the rest of the business is really growing by word of mouth. As I start talking to people, one of the most important things I hear from people is I go to the doctor, I know that there's something wrong with me, but my tests are normal and they tell me I'm fine. Or, one of my biggest pet peeves, 42 symptoms of menopause, right? It could be 42 other things. So really just in talking to people, I'm finding not just women, men too, that people are really looking for that place to bridge the gap that says, I know I'm not feeling well, but my tests are coming out normal and I'm not fitting that, check the box of traditional medicine and the diagnostic tests.
Makes sense. And so they're looking for alternative ways. And I know you have uh, bioresonant body scans,
Mhm.
and you're looking at things in the body with the help of technology. So how do you use these technologies that I don't think are mainstream, but maybe I've missed the ball on that?
Well, it's one of those things that you just mentioned, and I think it's so funny you said that because it is. It's like once you see it, you can't unsee it because you think, well, of course that's how your body works, but it's not. It's not mainstream. But let me explain to you a little bit about the BioResonance scan and how that works. So it's a non-invasive. It's a really an energetic assessment. We just talked about how everything in your body vibrates. Your cells, even when you have other microorganisms in your body, those vibrate as well. And it gives off a very specific frequency signature. Traditional lab tests will just focus on kind of the biochemistry of your body. This bioresonance scan works by detecting the subtle imbalances in your body, and it can include things like stress, inflammation, nutrient deficiencies, emotional blockages. So it's sending kind of this low level energetic signal into your body and then recording and analyzing the response. And then we get this really detailed, 40-page report that goes through all of the systems in your body, including consciousness and frequencies on emotions, organs, mineral deficiencies, heavy metals. And it's a frequency-based health check. It's telling you where things are out of balance, and it's providing kind of a deep insight into what's going on beneath the surface. One of the kind of most powerful aspects that I find of this scan, and I have a lot of success with, is kind of this ability to detect these unresolved emotional frequencies. Because we know that emotions aren't just thoughts, right? They carry a very specific vibrational signature themselves. So fear and guilt kind of vibrate at this lower frequency, where love and joy and gratitude vibrate at this higher frequency. And the lower frequencies can actually disrupt your cell and your organ, your cell and your organ and your body's ability to stay in balance and in harmony.
I know this because last week I interviewed Katie from Encoded Frequencies, and I've been listening to her YouTube channel, and it's all about using sound. She is
Mhm.
a composer and she uses sound and light language to help break away energies in your fields that can be impacting your human experience right now. And so, this to me seems like another technology that works from the inside out to tell you where you have energy that might be stuck or is maybe impacting how you're experiencing mobility or even how you feel.
Yeah, that's exactly how that works. And it's a lot of times things will not come up in a diagnostic test. Your body just may be resonating at a lower frequency and just kind of existing in this stage of kind of fatigue or sluggishness. And so it's not really going to come up in a diagnostic test, but when we do the bioresonance, it'll really pinpoint where those cells are not themselves vibrating at their optimum frequency.
I love that. And I'm always curious, like, how did this find you?
Well, as you mentioned, I spent my whole career, almost 30 years, right, in business. I started as an accountant, actually, and I was working in finance and a CFO. And it was kind of this combination, I would say, of curiosity, scientific inspiration, but mostly a personal desire to kind of create a different kind of health and healing experience for people. I worked in pharma and life sciences for quite a while. I had a front row seat to see how this traditional medical system works, and it's not really set up for investigation, right? It's quick, it's fast, it's diagnostic tests, it's checklists. And I was always a little skeptical of kind of just relying on medicine for healing. I mean, my kids will tell you they grew up on those little homeopathic pills, but I just over time found myself gravitating towards these holistic approaches. And I had the time to step back and say, what do I really want to do? And I had two questions that really fueled me through this journey. One is, we all know our cells constantly regenerate. Well, if they're constantly turning over, then why are we sick? right? And the second one is if my diagnostic tests are normal, why do I still feel unwell? So I really was fueled to dig in at the cellular level and kind of the intersection of science and energy and holistic medicine to try to find other healing modalities.
Did somebody come up to you in a coffee shop, or like how do you get on this path? Because this is in a lot of ways unique. I've interviewed hundreds of people for this podcast, and I have to say this is the first time that we're talking about quantum medicine and bioresonant body scans.
You know, it was intuitive, and I have to say the universe just brings you to places, and I wish I had a more exciting answer, like I met somebody cool or something like that. But as I started to, I asked myself the question, what do I really want to do? And what I really, really wanted to do was sit and read about all of these really cool alternative medicines. And I was very inspired by some of just the scientific findings and how, you know, although you have all of these people that, you know, we call light workers and we, you know, think, oh, this is just woo-woo medicine. But then there's this entire amount of literature out there that's based in science. Which I think we talked about this, but the 2022, the Nobel Prize in Physics went out to 3 doctors that looked at quantum entanglement. You know, this is remote healing, DNA-based remote healing, and they proved the theory of it. It was a theory of Einstein. And so as I started to really kind of get the curiosity of my mind and saying, well, I started out my career as an auditor and accountant. You know, if I can get convinced and I can find enough information out there, you know, that's scientifically sound and be convinced, then I know we can move forward with this.
Well, I love that answer. I love the fact that you are connected enough and you created the space for you to receive the guidance, you know, and a lot of times we just have to lean into the guidance and then the next door opens and the next door opens. And I feel like a lot of times our galactic support system
Mhm.
is kind of waiting for us to lean into this. And so, you know, how do people work with you when you think about, you know, someone calling you? Like what should they be prepared for? What does it sort of look like? How does this work?
Well, we talked a little bit about intuition. So there's a lot of back and forth discussion. So generally, people will come to me and say, I just don't feel right. I've had all my diagnostic tests. I have nothing, you know, there's nothing out there. The doctor said there's nothing dangerous, but, you know, X, Y, and Z is hurting me. It's disrupting my lifestyle. So we'll just start with a general scan. The bioresonance scan is if we do a complete scan, we really start to hone in on, you know, just what areas of the body are out of balance. And intuitively, what's so interesting to me is so many of my clients will be like, oh, I knew it. And I'll tell them, okay, we're looking at your kidneys or we're looking at your liver, and they'll be like, I knew it. I knew that's what was wrong, but it's not showing up on a test. So that's one way. I do quite a bit of clearing of energy blockages. You know, I think people don't take that seriously enough. If I could give any message out there, it's our emotions, right? Our emotions have a direct impact on our health. One of the things we can do in the bioresonance scan is actually look at emotional frequencies. You know, so if you are holding on to fear or shame or guilt or frequencies from past experiences that your brain has just shut off. Your brain says, I'm going to protect you. We don't need to think about this anymore. Well, that frequency is still in your body and it may settle, you know, into your digestive system. It may settle into your legs as pain. So when we do the bioresonance scan, those frequencies come out whether you know they're there or not. And we work with them, and I work with my clients, and sometimes they'll release it immediately, and other times they'll call me in a couple of days and say, okay, well, yeah, now I get what that is. These thoughts are coming up, and you know, your body's ready to release them. And a lot of times they'll just experience this complete, you know, relief of pain or, you know, symptoms over time.
It's fantastic. And so to do the body scan, you have to be there physically. So you can take a trip to California. meet with you, do the body scan, and then they can have the calls remotely.
Right. And so I work out of Boise, Idaho.
Mm.
I work out of Southern California. But I do work on, you and I talked about this a little bit about remote. So remote DNA and quantum energy. So the ability to be able to do a bioresonance scan and scan some kind of DNA sample, and then to put healing frequencies into your DNA through quantum entanglement. Well, I know that this is a little, sci-fi. It's really based in science, and it's based in the scientific findings of quantum entanglement. And I have had a lot of success with it as far as detox and sleep. Last year, I did a beauty and wellness with a group of 15 women. And we did healing frequencies for sleep and detox and, facial structure and skin and collagen. And it was absolutely amazing. We did it completely remote. And the feedback, kind of a funny story as we're doing this, and, everyone's skeptical about it. It doesn't make sense based on kind of like our scope of knowledge. But as soon as I turned off the frequencies for sleep and then moved on to, we were doing some collagen and facial structure, I was getting texts from everyone. Hey, did you turn off the sleep? Because that was really working for me. And I've had people during a detox tell me, okay, I've got a pickleball match today and you need to turn that off because it's making me feel really queasy. So I know it's reaching people and we know it's working. There's just a lot more work and research that needs to be done on that.
I love it. I feel like I need to take a road trip. I'm excited.
I would love that.
But I think it's so interesting, and I work a lot on managing my frequency and shifting my frequencies at different times. But I still think there's energy and auras and in
Mhm.
my field that I have not even reached yet. I feel like there's still things to clear out, ancestral or this lifetime. I know this because I still have hangups on things that have a hold on me that are bigger than I can sometimes manage. And so I love the idea of using science-based technologies to really see where the frequencies have a hold on you and working to release them.
Yeah, and I think one of the really interesting things and one of the most awesome things that I see is in the bioresonance and in the scanning. And I use scalar energy, and I've gone through and kind of created a whole warehouse of these different technologies that I like to use. But it's really validating for people. And I will, tell them, oh, there's an emotional blockage. It's disrupting your digestion. I'm seeing, disruption in your digestion. And I'm also seeing the emotional frequency of shame. And I'll have people say, oh, no, I don't have any of that. And then a couple of days later, that your body, once you tell your body and once you give it that suggestion, it starts things in motion and wants to be released. So sometimes it's just the prompt and the validation that comes from this technology that really starts your own healing process.
I see that. I see that in other work and other practitioners that sometimes it's just like scratching the surface and then it's out.
Mm-hmm.
You can't
Yeah.
always, I feel like last, couple times it's like be careful what you ask for, but in such a positive way because as light beings, all of us, we want to keep our vessel as clear as possible so that we can have the experience that we signed up to have down here. And I think some of that experience is prioritizing ourselves and releasing things that are no longer serving us. And so I love the science-based quantum medicine, bioresonance as the starting point, and then using energy energy
Mhm.
experiences to help release the energy that's really holding on. It's like
Yeah.
ready to let go, but we just have to figure out how to like pull one finger off at a time to just like release it.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I like to use scalar energy too.
Mhm.
And scalar energy is, I really think it's becoming more mainstream and people are starting to hear about it more. I've seen chiropractors' offices where you can actually go sit in this scalar field. But it's this energy form that's kind of beyond the electromagnetic spectrum, right? So it doesn't kind of fit into our normal science book. But it's really healing for the body's natural energetic balance. And what it does technically, because I like the science part of this, is it encourages kind of a healthier ratio of negative to positive ions in the body. So we have both positive and negative charges in our body. And the negative ions are associated with really good health benefits. So improved mood, better oxygen flow, better circulation, reduced inflammation. Positive ions, when you get too many positive ions in your body, from stress, pollution, EMF, Wi-Fi, that can lead to fatigue and imbalance. So scalar energy, well, it doesn't like directly kind of treat your body. What it does is it creates this energy field around your body, and your cells actually tune into it. So it's enhancing kind of the cellular communication, and it's very healing. So it's one example of things that I'm starting to see around that I think are, it's absolutely amazing.
I love that. And we interviewed Tom last year. This time we
Mhm.
talked about scalar energy, and it's so powerful too. I just love all of this information and access that we have now through people like you. And I love the fact that you came out of corporate as an accountant because, if people are wondering, like, is this a woo woo? Is it? Hey, listen, it's everyday people that are leaning into their gifts, that are aligning with things that are helping the collective. And this
Yeah,
is really the reason I have these conversations, is to make this more inviting and also more plausible to people that might be skeptical. So, Lynette, I love that you joined us. All your links are below. And I look forward to seeing you here again. And I'd love to come out and visit you. Maybe I can bring some women with me to just check it out and really just experience this firsthand.
great. We have a beautiful setup in the mountains of Idaho. So anytime, I'd love to host you.
I would love that. I would love that. And for those listening that want to join me, definitely DM me with your contact information. We'll make a little list and we can get a date and go out and visit Lynette. So thank you,
Sounds great.
Lynette. I look
Thank
forward to seeing
you.
you soon. I really appreciate this.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. You too.